Hello. Hello, everybody. Oh, welcome to this live stream on self-soothing. I think it is no coincidence. This is definitely a synchronicity that this is probably the only live stream I've ever started late. And that is such a perfect example of something that I have to regularly soothe within myself is this like fear around being late and how like the whole world is like apparently going to like fall off its axis if Carly's late. So, that was like such a perfect moment of even like, I get here and I look at the clock and it's 1 minute till and I really need to go to the bathroom and my laptop is still in my bag, all my cords and nothing is plugged in and, like, all of that. It's like, do I spend the 1 minute, get myself set up, go live on time, or do I go to the bathroom and I soothe the fact that I'm gonna reclaim my power from this whole 10 a.m. start time and this whole concept of like, I'm not allowed to be late. In that moment, self soothing was granting myself permission to be late, to just go to the bathroom and start when you start, and it's all gonna be perfect. So, like, self soothing. Welcome to my live stream on self soothing. There is so much to cover with this topic. It's wild how, mm, like I know I've said before that it feels like self care is like my full time job, and I stand by that. And just another way to say that is self soothing is my full time job, right? Like self soothing, self care, it's all kind of hand in hand. And something that came to me as I was reflecting on all of the pieces that I wanted to share. One of the things self soothing is not is talking yourself out of feeling what you're feeling. Like it might sound like self soothing is about like making yourself feel better, like you haven't done your job if you don't like feel all happy and like immediately better. Um, I think self soothing is about being willing to be by your own side through anything that you need to feel. And I have a story that I'm going to tell, and I think it's going to take up most of my time here on the live stream. I mean, and because the universe synchronizes things for us so that we can be supported and taken care of as we go through the things that we go through. And And, there was an extra layer of this orchestration where I don't know if you guys noticed, but my live stream was originally supposed to be on grief today. And earlier this week, thanks to a conversation with some friends, this topic change happened to where today's live stream became about self soothing and not about grief. And those are, yeah, 2 very different things. Maybe sometimes you have to self-soothe while you're grieving, but for the most part, like, it was a pretty noticeable direction change that felt fun, felt exciting, like, "Oh, yeah, what a great topic. I would love to get to wax on for an hour about all the things to do with self-soothing. That sounds fantastic. Change the subject. Done." Um, and you gotta wonder, the story I'm about to tell you, it's like it happened Wednesday, and that was on Monday. So, like, before my story happened, the topic changed. And because of the topic change, I had this support during this event, but it's also like if you really like I don't know, some people in law of attraction, they're like, "But did I manifest that event?" Because, basically it was a master class in having to self-soothe was the story that I'm gonna tell you. Um, and it was so informational to actually live through it that it's like, did I manifest that event because I decided I was gonna talk about self-soothing? Or, and this is what I think, did I know on some level outside of time that that event was coming? And if I had lived through that event knowing that my live stream coming up was about grief, I would have had a completely different mindset throughout the event than I had because the topic changed to self-soothing. Instead of freaking out about like, "Oh my god, am I gonna have to grieve this?" That would have terrified me even more than I already was. I was nearly panicked. But because I knew my topic was self-soothing, I just kept pulling out everything that I could think of to make myself feel better in that very moment because I was, like, about to be swallowed up by my panic. And before I tell you the story, I gotta tell you, um, kinda 2 different versions, okay? So, I was on a walk with my dogs, Stella and Scooby. Scooby, I'm gonna tell you her version of the story from her perspective. So we were on our walk, right? And it was going good. Had a couple poops, about 100 pees, and 4,000 sniffs. So making good time. And then out of nowhere, these big dogs come running right at me. And it was at that moment that I yelled over my shoulder, "Follow me, guys." And I ran all the way home, a mile from the house, ran all the way home, got in the doggy door into the garage, and she was in the garage, like waiting for me. So that's what happened, that's what she did, and so, like, before I tell you the rest of my story, my version of this, my perspective inside my meat suit, I wanna just rest assured she was in the garage, okay? So she's been reunited, Scooby is home. The dogs come out of the yard and we're a mile from the house. And Stella, here's what I see. One, I don't have my glasses on. And when I don't have my glasses on, I can't see anything besides colors. And that's only if they're big enough and different enough from the other colors that they're right next to. So I don't have my glasses on, and the dogs come out, and instantly Stella, who was like from the streets back in Dallas, adopted her when I lived down there, she, like, gets right in their face, and she's, like, growling at them, and she's got her hair all stood up on the back of her neck, so before I could even put my glasses on, I gotta go over there and, like, shoo them away and call her back over here, and I'm, like, trying to get them apart, and but so I do, and they kinda run up back up in the yard, and I put my glasses back on, and I look around, and I'm like, "Where is Scooby? Where is Scooby?" She's nowhere. We're on a country road, gravel road. There's woods on either side of us, except for this yard that, like, the dogs came out of, and she's nowhere. And in that moment, like, that was the first time that I just, like, I kept turning circles on the road, like, looking like she must be somewhere, like, I just can't see her. Where is she? This isn't real. She must be here. I just can't see her. And I did that for a while, like, I was in this, like, denial almost that, like, she must be here, I must be able to just not see her right now, and couldn't see her, and so I, like, walked down the fence line a little bit, like, back towards home, like, across this neighbor's yard. They got, like, a big fence, and sometimes, like, my dogs will go underneath the bottom of it and, like, go explore in their yard, and then come back out, and so I was like, "Okay, well, maybe she accidentally, like, got underneath the fence and got in there with those dogs, and they were still barking, but they were at least back up in the yard." I'm like, "What if she's in the yard? What if, like, she's cornered or, like, whatever?" I had all kinds of pictures and stories in my mind, and so I, like, run back up to where their driveway is and, like, go in a little bit and just kinda look and, like, "Is she there? No, she's not there." And the other dogs, like, weren't really engaging, like, they were just barking, like, they didn't act like they could see her or anything. And so I come back out onto the road and I look around again. In total, I'm like, "Is this real?" I just kept asking myself, like, "Is this real? She's gone? Really? No, no, no." Like, total denial. It was like total self-protection. It was beautiful. That's what I had at the beginning, was the denial of, like, this must not be real. This must be a dream, or she must be, like, gonna pop out of the bushes any moment, right? Like, she's just right there. And she wasn't. And I'm a mile from the house and I'm walking and on gravel. So it's like, trying to can't go very fast, I guess is my point. And so it probably took me like 13, 14 minutes to get home. And that was my next thought after I got down the road a little ways and she's still not anywhere. I just was like screaming for her, like, Scooby, Scooby, where are you? I'm like asking Stella, where is she, Stella? Like, oh my God. And the whole time, the panic is like rising up out of me, just like fear, just pure terror. And it's like grabbing at me and trying to pull me under. And the whole time, I'm having to like do the self soothing thing. So, the next thing I had when I came up out of denial, when she, like, wasn't anywhere in the immediate vicinity, which there's woods on either side, so I'm like, if she ran off into the woods, like, I had pictures of her, like, falling off a little cliff. I'm in Kansas, there aren't really cliffs. She was falling off a cliff and she's hurt, and like, "Oh my god, what am I gonna Scooby?" And I'd have to like, "No, no, pull yourself back together." And basically, like, what I had at that point was hope that like, please let her be at home. Please let her be at home. I didn't know how that was possible because on the road, like you can see for miles down the road and like I'm looking and I don't see her. So like she had to back to the first version, she had to just run her little heart out like as fast as she could, which now it makes me really laugh, like thinking about her like really running. Because she was like scared, obviously. And so she goes to home base to like get in the safe spot. And so the whole time I'm coming home, I'm saying things to myself, and I wrote them down when I got home so that I could share them as far as like I had hope that I'll find her. That's like I'll find her no matter where she is, no matter how long I have to look. I'm gonna find her, like Scooby. Well, I'll get back together with you. Like I'm gonna reunite with Scooby. So like I had hope that that was gonna happen, and I was really hoping that she's on the porch. She's just up on the porch. She's waiting by the door. She'll be there when I get there. And the whole time, the things I'm saying are stay in my body, stay in my body, stay in my body. Watch your steps. Look at your feet. Watch your steps. Don't fall down. Just keep breathing, keep going. And I like jogged. I'm so out of shape, so out of shape. And I jogged most of the way home, which really hurt. By the time I got there, I could barely walk. One of the other pieces that I was saying to myself that like really helped, my hope was helping. That felt good to hope that I'm going to find her, right? Like she's not gone. And that was again where the piece of the live stream switching topics was so supportive of me. Because if I had known that my topic on Friday is grieving and my dog is missing, she just fucking vanished out of thin air. I would, those 13 minutes of having to get home while I have no idea like when or where I'm going to see her again, if the back of my mind had had grief in it, I would have been that much more of a mess, like thinking that these visions I'm having of her hurt somewhere are true. Like this must be what's happening is I'm never going to see her again and I must going to have to be to grieve her, and oh my god, don't make me do that. This can't be real. It was awful. But that's not what happened. I knew that this is about self-soothing. And that was the piece that gave me, I was probably like maybe halfway through my 13 minutes where the first half, I mean, it was all I could do to just breathe. Just keep breathing, keep moving, get to her. Like just get home at least so you can get in a car and like come back faster and look for her even if she's not there. Like I'm going to find her. And so there was like this like literal panic and terror that was inside of me that whole entire time. And I just kept telling myself, no, 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 not right now, not right now. No, I'm still looking for her. She's out there. I'm going to find her. And I just kept telling myself and kept talking to myself and did not let myself fall apart. And this is the piece that came about halfway through when it really opened up into like the beauty and the power of what this experience really is and what it like. I don't even think I've fully received the implications of it yet. But what downloaded was a much more embodied version of Scooby's a sovereign being. She is her own creature and she has her own soul. She has her own team of spiritual support. I am not responsible. She is sovereign. She is having the experience that her soul needs to have. And that felt like for a moment, the panic and everything else subsided at least enough where I could tolerate how slow it was to get to where I could see if she was at the house. Like, again, self-soothing isn't about, like, making it all be over. It's about, like, the fact that you don't just fall down on the floor and cry and give up. "Scooby, where's my Scooby?" That's what I wanted to do. That's what my guts were doing. They were, like, melting inside of me, and every ounce of my being was like, "No, no, hold it together." I just kept seeing that, like, what if she's not at the house, and then I have to get in my car, and I have to drive down the road. I can't get behind the wheel in my car if I'm a puddle on the floor. Like, I need to keep it together. I need to keep it together so that if I have to get in my car, I can drive down the road and I can find her. I'll come back and I'll find her. And so I was just like hardcore, like keeping myself calm for Scooby. And then I realized she's a sovereign being. She's not having any kind of experience right now that isn't in her highest good. And me too. And that opened up like a whole different thing. And it was interesting because that was the first time that as that opened, and I was like, she's sovereign and I'm sovereign, and like this is both for our highest goods. And I really started to see, like, I started doing the Gemini thing where I'm like, this is so interesting. I'm like learning so much from this experience. Like, my body's a wreck right now. Holy shit. Like, this is powerful. Like, I was like geeking out about how cool the experience was. And then I realized, like, oh my God, I just totally got distracted from Scooby. Like, that last like 20 seconds or however long it was, like I wasn't panicked about Scooby. I was enjoying how interesting the experience was. And that was like a whole nother like awareness mushroom of the power of distraction and like this download around what a fucking gift it is that we are such distractible beings. And that opened up into this whole nother layer of like, there's so many people in this world who want to rag on technology and who want to say that it's destroying blah, 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 blah. Distractibility is a blessing. And we as human beings have never been more distractible. And if you could really see clearly some of the things going on, you would be enveloped in panic and terror. And the fact that we can be distracted by other things is such a blessing. It's such a gift that that's part of how we're wired. And that felt like, a really core pillar of self-soothing is get your mind off of it as best you can, right? Like there were definitely like most, like 99% of the 13 minutes getting me home where I was having to actively like breathe, like just keep it together, stay in your body, like feel your breaths, feel this crazy energy in your body. Stay in your body, not in the thoughts, not in the pictures, not in the her at the bottom of a cliff, like she can't move, like I'm never going to find her. Like stay out of your brain, stay out of your mind as best you can and come into your body and feel your body. So stay in my body. She's sovereign. That feels like when you're afraid for another being that like something bad is going to happen to them, like they're sovereign. What happens to them is none of our business. Like who are we to judge what is a good experience and what is a bad experience? And on that note, it's actually really interesting because like Scooby, she's 2.5 years old. She's a corgi. And she has lived one of the sweetest, most little sheltered lives of like any dog I've ever known. Okay. She's got two mamas who love her so much. She eats like a queen as far as like what we feed them. And she's basically never been alone. Like, even when she's home alone, she still has Stella the whole entire time. She's never been away from home without Stella. She's never had to stay at home by herself without Stella. And most of the time, either I'm there or Dolly's there. So that's been her life. And honestly, these 13 minutes were probably the most alone she's ever been in her whole life. And she manifested that. She manifested that independence, that feeling so fearful for her own safety. She didn't, because like anytime that we're out in public and like other dogs or other people come around us, she'll come and like get right behind either me or Dolly. And that's her safe spot, is like right behind mama. And this time she didn't. She did not. She was too afraid to count on me protecting her. She had to protect herself. And she took off and like ripped the full heart out. Oh my God. I can only imagine how funny it looked, like her like really running down the road. But anyway, I know she like was catching her breath for like a half hour when I got home, and she beat me there by at least 10 minutes. And so yeah, she was like really out of breath by the time I found her. And poor little Scooby, but she saved herself. She did. She was scared and she got herself to safety. She stood on her own four paws and she got herself to safety. And that night, oh my gosh, so get this. That night, she sleeps with Dolly in Dolly's bed, and Dolly normally, like, picks her up 'cause she's freaking corgi, she can barely jump, so picks her up and, like, puts her up in the bed, but there is a bench at the end of the bed, and she can use it, and sometimes she does, but most of the time, when it's nighttime, she lets herself be picked up and put in the bed. That night, she like, Dolly goes to get her, and she ran away and wouldn't let Dolly pick her up, and she goes around to the bottom of the bed and, like, looks at it and looks at Dolly and looks at it and looks at Dolly, and Dolly, like, "Are you gonna let me pick you up?" And she comes towards her again, and with that, she, like, jumps up on the bed, like, "No, I can do it. I'm independent. I'm a grown-up Scroober." She's so freaking cute. It was like a blossoming of her independence, you know? And it rocked my world. I mean, I got to see. I think that's something as far as like how, emotions or messages, like what does that even mean? You know? What am I supposed to be getting from this? Basically, a good scare, when you really see, like, your fear rise up to the point where you are in literal terror or panic and it is, like, trying to pull you down, you get to see, A, what's most important to you, and B, what you're attached to. The thought of her being gone and me never getting to see her again made me panic, made me short of breath, made me, like, I just couldn't tolerate. It hurt so bad to think about the image of I'm never gonna get to see her again. It destroyed my body. My body lost control, was trying to lose control for 13 minutes. I wouldn't let it. I'm like, "Get in there, hold it together. Scooby's out there. We gotta find her." Oh my god. And when I got home and I could, like, see, like, up on the porch, and I'm like, "She's not there." And then I was like, "Oh my god, the doggy door. Please be in the garage. Please be in the garage. Please be in the garage." And I'm just like, "Please be in the garage. Please be in the garage. Please." That's all I would let myself think, is that she's in the garage. I'm gonna open the door and she's gonna run in like she does, and, like, she's in the garage. I didn't know that, but I was hoping like hell that that was what was gonna happen. And so I come in the patio door, and I can barely walk because of the jogging. I think I mentioned that. But, like, I'm, like, over to the door, and I'm hot because I got layers on, and I'm like, "Oh my god," and I flung it open, and in she runs. And when she ran inside and I saw there she is, right? Like, all the uncertainty vanished, all the Scooby is gone was solved. She's not gone, she's right here. I became the puddle on the floor at that point, and I can see where, like, I mean, I've mostly seen this on TV, I don't know that I've ever seen it in person, doesn't matter. Like, the kind of archetype of, like, the kid runs off and the parent's really worried and concerned, and then you find the kid and you're, like, mad at the kid, and you're like, "Don't ever do that again," and, like, like, you're angry, like, it comes out as anger, like, it wasn't like that, and I don't know if it was just, like, the power of and, like, the time to think and the clarity of she's sovereign, she's having her own experience, this is for me to be able to soothe. This is for me to get to not just wax on in theory about how self-soothing works, but to be in the eye of the storm and have to hold your shit together. Like, to get some practical tips to come on the live stream and be able to share, like, hey, that's gold. That's abundance. That's me playing the human game in the way that I wanted to play it. And Scooby just provided the separation that let me see how attached I really am to her, which that is a sign, like that massive discomfort. Anytime we feel discomfort, like that's a sign that there's something in there for us to reclaim our power. And so that was one piece as far as my dogs do have a lot of power in my life because they do bring me so much soothing and so much companionship and so much unconditional love. And they teach me so many things. And the fact that it would devastate me to never see her again, like, just lets me see the strength of my need and my attachment and my dependence on that thing. And not that I can't love, but to release the attachment and instead come more present into the moment and look even more deeply into her beautiful eyes, her beautiful two-tone eyes, and feel her soft, gigantic antenna ears, and just her floofy coat and her cute little nubbin, and soak up every single piece of her that I possibly can, because I don't know when the last moment I'm going to have with her is. And instead of trying to cling on to her, like, no, you got to stay with me forever, it's like I really did through that experience release that attachment, mostly because it hurt way too badly to hang on to it. And in that place, there could be greater love in the moment, not taking her for granted, like she's going to be here for however long. I mean, like, she could go at any moment. And I want to focus on bringing as much quality love into our relationship as I can, moment to moment to moment to moment. And that experience of actually getting to stand inside the eye of a hurricane and feel it pulling on me, to get to feel that in my body, and then to feel the relief, the gratitude. Like, when I turned into the puddle on the floor, I just put my hands on the floor and I was on all fours and I was like just heaving emotions out of me for probably like 20, 30 minutes. It was like very powerful of an eruption at the beginning, and then it was more like bubbling sobbing towards the end of the 20, 30 minutes, but so much came out as far as like, I don't have control. I don't have control. I can only ever roll with what the day brings and soothe myself as best I can with whatever is happening around me. That is always true, no matter what is going on, no matter who you think needs to be there that isn't. It is always between us and us to give ourselves what we need in that moment. And yeah, like I said, self-soothing isn't about making yourself feel 100%. It's about not abandoning yourself when you're in the shitstorm that is whatever it is. Like, I felt very much like it became super clear to me, the inner child and the inner parent relationship of self-soothing, where the inner child more represents the emotional response, the attachment, the attachment to the security of this thing, and I've lost the thing and I'm freaking out, literally panicked at the thought of losing this thing. And then there's an inner parent that's like, we're going to find her. We're going to find her. Just keep moving your feet. Watch your feet. One step at a time. We're going to find her. Like, there was a part of me that was talking to the freaked out part that wasn't telling it, like, shut up. Like, you don't get to feel that way. Like, you shouldn't feel that way because you shouldn't be attached. Like, no, I get it. I get it. Like, the inner parent was like right there, like, no, I get it. I know you're scared. And was like coaching me through, like, one moment at a time of, I know you want to fall apart right now, but don't you want to find Scooby? And which one do you want more? You know, like, basically like showing me there will be a time for falling apart and letting this emotion erupt fully. That's coming. No worries. It'll be here at whatever time it's meant to. But right now we're finding Scooby. So the inner parent was like in the self-soothing, like prioritizing there's something that we need to do here. Like that inner parent, inner child also really reminded me of like water energy and earth energy, like the sister signs and how they balance each other between water and earth, and how water's superpower is the strength and purity and clarity of emotion coming through you, feeling that energy and massive, massive energy, water. Unlimited is what I want to say about how that felt, that panic that felt like it was like trying to pull me under the water. Um, and a couple times I did get pulled under the water, and it felt like every time that happened, my inner parent would be like, "Oh shit, no, no, come here," and like give me another buoy to hang on to. That's like she's sovereign. She's having the experience that she needs to have. I'm only a physical being, and there's only this moment. There's only so much I can do. I held on to that buoy for a while as I like moved my feet and my lungs burned and my muscles ached. And I was like, I need to slow down. My body can't handle this. And the adrenaline was like, no, you can push through this. You can do this. You can find Scooby. But there is only so much you can do. Like the body can only move at the pace it can move. And so just keep breathing, just stay in your body, pay attention to my own steps, keep myself upright and moving towards doing everything I can to help her. She can take care of herself. I held that buoy for a good long while of like, don't panic, hold it together, not right now. Stay in my body, focus on my steps. Please be on the porch. Please be on the porch. Please be on the porch. Uh, when she wasn't on the porch, please be in the garage. Please be in the garage. And yeah, like, basically another one, freaking out doesn't help her. Like, that was such the earth energy, such the inner parent, like, I know it hurts, but right now, we're helping her, and when we're done helping her, like, I let myself just cry and cry and cry with relief and gratitude that she's right here, that she even exists in my life, that I could even love a creature this much to have such a powerful experience like what that was. Like just gratitude after gratitude after gratitude and relief. It was like every ounce of that panic was coming through as like relief that I don't have to get in my car, that I don't have to go walk in the woods, that I don't have to like I mean, it was like 15 degrees outside too. So like that's not a fun proposition no matter what you're doing out there, let alone I can't find my dog. My very important piece of my well-being and my security, or so I thought. And this experience of soothing myself through that separation, it did clear out a lot of space in my grid around this relationship with Scooby and really both of my dogs, and sinking more into presence within, basically like I am only one physical being and there's only so much I can do. I can't make them stay forever, but I can raise the quality of love and attention that I'm giving them in the now. And I will, and I did, and I am. So the self-soothing, what's the word I'm looking for there? I wanna say marathon, half marathon, it was 13 minutes. God, it felt like 13 miles, I swear. Longest 13 minutes of my life. Multiple times, I was like, "Is this real? Is this real? This can't be happening." And that was feeding my hope of like, she's gotta be at home. She has to be there. And so it really also gave me this beautiful perspective around like distractibility, hope, denial, like so many things that like, don't get your hopes up or like, you know, yeah, like don't get your hopes up. Like I'm here to tell you that hoping can hold you together. Hoping can be the glue that is keeping you together in the moment. And I feel like that is essentially what it is. It's glue. It's like, I refuse to let go of this thing, so I'm going to hope for it. And maybe that's wrong. And maybe I'm not going to find it. And eventually I will have to like unglue myself and like rip myself apart from that thing. But for right now, hoping for it feels better than not hoping for it. So, hope, that's a self soothing way to, again, like stick your head in the sand or deny and refuse to look at it or refuse to accept the truth or like all of these things that have such a negative connotation in culture typically. And from what I saw, boots on the ground, self-soothing, they're the best tools we have. And what's really, really interesting about all of this, and this is again where I go back to like, I do believe that Scooby was going to have this experience, right? Like she's sovereign. She needed this experience to like have this breakaway of her independence, right? And the dogs were going to play their part to come and scare her so that she did run on her own four paws and like take care of herself. All of that was coming. All of that was coming. I believe that. And my spiritual support played their part through inspiring my friend to have a question like, when you have a lot of fear or anger or sadness rising up in you, how do you soothe yourself? And that opened this conversation that it was delicious. And as I started to like, think like, how do I soothe myself when that stuff comes up? I was like, wow, there's a lot here. There's like a lot that I want to say. And that gave me the idea, change the live stream topic. Like we don't need to talk about grief right now. We need to talk about self-soothing. Like that was like just so clear in my mind. And that was Monday. And then here's this on Wednesday. And Wednesday morning, in my morning time, I was like doing my normal journaling thing. And all of a sudden I got the idea. The first piece that came was one of my methods, one of my favorite methods for self-soothing is to discover the divine timing of why everything is right on time. And with that piece, I wrote that down, discovering divine timing, why everything is right on time. And then that led to, and earthing, walking barefoot on the grass. And that just led to a whole section of here's some ideas about methods that can help you, self-soothe when your energy is frazzled. And that led to this over here, and that led to this over here, and filled up that whole page, flipped the page, filled up a whole nother page of like basically my theoretical understanding of self-soothing. And what then unfolded like an hour, maybe an hour and a half later, after I had written all of that, was being a mile from the house and my dog vanishes. And now I'm panicking. And now the rubber meets the road. And what I can tell you is most of what I've shared here isn't what was in those 2 pages. It was like so hilarious to me now. It's like, oh, you're so cute. Yeah, those no, like, those are good tools. Like, don't get me wrong, those are good tools past Carly, Carly prior to Scooby disappearing, like, that was really good, and that's a really, like, good foundation of understanding that you have there. But a lot of those are for milder situations, basically was like the download that I got after the whole thing had happened was like, my theory is really nice and it sounds okay and it makes a lot of sense and there is some good value there. But when you're in a moment of like being pulled under by something that is trying to claim you in a moment, deny, hope, distract. Those are your best bets. And with that's mostly what I'm going to share. I might do a self-soothing part 2 and come back and share more of like the meat on the bones as far as like other tools and milder versions of discomfort. And I mean, a deep breath is always soothing. Coming into your body and being inside the moment is always soothing. letting go of whatever horrible picture your brain is showing to you in your mind and coming back into your body. And even if you're feeling really, really uncomfortable physical sensations, I would imagine focusing on how much your lungs are burning or the sick feeling in your stomach actually feels better than seeing the awful, horrible image, horror movie that is playing through your brain. So, yeah, coming down into the body, feeling our breath, that's really a go to. Um, and self compassion. That's like the last piece that I'll leave you with is basically believing that it's worth soothing yourself, that you deserve to have that compassion, that you deserve to receive soothing, and that you deserve it so much that you're going to provide it, even when there's like not a soul for miles, literally, except for Stella, and she won't tell me where Scooby is. But she was by my side. She reminded me of unconditional love in that moment. Like, I don't know where she is, but I'm here. I'm here with you. And like when I ran, she ran right beside me. And when I stopped to walk, she walked right beside me. And when I started running again, she ran right beside me. She's like, Mama, I don't know. I don't know where Scooby is. I don't know when we're going to find her, but I'm here with you. I am here with you. And like even just focusing on she is here with me. I'm not alone in this. Like that was also very soothing. And so much of it came from that self-compassion of like I really 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 wanted to hold my head above water. Some for myself, some for Scooby, after I realized she's sovereign and that she's having her experience and this is my experience, even more, I wanted to hold my head above the water. That's where the distraction came from. And it was like, for a second, there wasn't even any water. Distraction is like the best, the most effective. And that's probably where, numbing or escapism or like avoidance, like all that gets such a bad rap. Again, I would come back with self compassion and say, if the best thing you can do is distract yourself from the pain you're feeling, that's a win. To bring yourself up to the surface where you can breathe some real air and get some real sleep, distract away. And when the pain is tolerable and you can face it, there are other means of soothing and being with yourself and being in your body with the energy that you're feeling in any time. But there's no shame in saying, "This is too much. This is too much. I need to get out of here. I can't take this. This is drowning me. I can't breathe." And that was another one. "I can't breathe. I can't breathe." And that would alert me back to, I'm so far out of my body. I'm not even like breathing properly. And come back in and, okay, just focus on my breath, focus on my steps, focus on keeping my shit together so that I can like get in the car if I need to and find Scooby. Focus on my own experience, focus on gratitude for Stella being right beside me, focus on the fact that, even though it was a gravel road, I never did trip. I never did like roll my ankle or anything like that. Like I stayed upright. I kept going. I got there as fast as I could. And she was there. She was there. And after the fact, my self soothing looked like a little bit of numbing. I cried for quite a while, and that was just an outpouring of all of that stagnant energy that was in there somewhere. I don't even know where that shit comes from sometimes, but it was a lot and it came out and that felt really, really good. And then I mostly felt empty, but in like kind of a satisfying way at that point, like as opposed to being full of panic or empty, I felt so much better to be empty. And at that point, I was like, you know what sounds nice? On Wednesday at 11 a.m., I'm going to go lay down in my bed. And I went and I laid down in my bed and I watched TV for maybe just a little bit. And then I fell asleep for like 3 hours. And when I woke up, the world looked very different. Scooby was laying right next to my bed. Stella was looking at me, laying on the bed with me. The world keeps spinning. That moment is over. And now I'm in this moment, and this moment is nice. And I'm going to have a drink of water and I'm going to see what comes next. And whatever comes next, I'm going to be by my own side. as it does. I'm going to have my own back. I'm going to let myself feel what I need to feel. My inner parent is going to help me as best as they can to keep an eye on the bigger picture of, is there something more important than indulging my emotions right now? And maybe the answer is yes, and maybe the answer is no. And in any given moment, I'm going to soothe myself by at least asking and listening for the answer. And yeah, when I need to hold it together, I'll do my best, do my best to distract, hope, and deny. And when I'm ready to fall apart, I will. I'll collapse against the door and slide down on my butt. And at that point, I was like this, and I really couldn't breathe. And then I got like this, and it just like came and came and came and came. And then the emptiness was there. And that felt really good. And after sleeping for a few hours, that space was still open. That space was still open. And the rest of the day was pretty low energy. That amount of terror and panic took a toll on my system. To be in that for even 13 minutes was, like I said, it felt like a half marathon in terms of what I had just done. And the whole rest of the day became about resting and hydrating and holding my dogs and just nurturing my spirit, my very raw spirit. And then I got a good night's sleep, and yesterday was an amazing day. Yesterday, my grid, that open space was still open, and yesterday lots of stuff downloaded into that space. And so that feels like a confirmation that I'm taking with me for next time, is to be in the middle of, the hurricane of panic or fear or whatever the awful emotion is that you're feeling in that moment, and to have the awareness of this experience where if you can keep calm, the solution is there. And keep calm and stay aware of, like, what even is this? Like, this powerful emotion. Where is it coming from? Why am I feeling this? What is going on? And I mean, I feel like the whole thing, as far as Scooby's side, right? She's 2.5. She's ready to kind of like have this blooming of her independence. She's sovereign. She's having her own experience. But for me, the way the cards fell allowed me to have a gigantic emotional release. And with that release of stagnant energy from my grid, there's now open space that something could come into that space, something different, not stagnant, old fear and attachment patterns. And like so much of that got released. And now, even more love, unconditional love, present in the moment, depth and quality of love can come in to fill that space. And it has. And I'm only just beginning to see the beauty of this new energy that's here. And the only reason the new energy is here is because I cleared out the old energy. Thank you, Scooby, for terrifying me beyond, like, I don't even know if I've ever been that scared, like, ever. And she did that for me. She played her part beautifully. The neighbor doggos played their part beautifully. Stella getting in their face like a little badass that she is, played her part beautifully. And the whole thing created this opportunity for me to get to see myself even more clearly, to get to be present and inside of myself. I mean, when you're out in like a mile from the house on the gravel road, like all the things that I would have normally reached for as far as like numbing or self-soothing or like go get a drink of water, like, put your feet on the grass, like all my normal things that I would have reached for, I'm a mile from the house. I have nothing except for myself and my little dog, who is truly ride or die. She's always by my side. And that wasn't lost on me either. That, like, we are supported. We are so supported that, like, we don't go through anything that we don't already have the support in place to hold us through that experience. The live stream topic getting switched because of my friend saying something. me having a companion through even that really scary moment. I wasn't in it by myself. So many different ways that our spiritual support shows up for us as best they can, right? They're just energy. They're doing the best they can. And the more we'll let ourselves be supported, the more we believe we deserve to be supported and soothed, even through our worst nightmare of our dog disappearing. Like, believing that we deserve to feel good is one of the key ingredients for that recipe of what brings about being able to feel good. So, dear friends, thank you so much for tuning in to these live streams. I love getting to do them. Like I said, feel so supported by the fact that the topics line up so perfectly with the things that are already in motion and unfolding in my life that I have no awareness of what's coming. And yet, somehow, my spiritual support team is like out ahead of me, putting the perfect supports in place so that when I get there, it's as easy as it can be. Like, pain is guaranteed, it's part of the human game. Um, Suffering is optional. And I feel like I learned the meaning of that even more deeply in those 13 minutes where I was not willing to suffer over this. I was clinging to hope. Hope is the opposite of suffering, right? Like, if you're deep in suffering, you've lost hope. And I had hope. I had hope that she's going to be there. And it was literally my buoy in the storm. And I'm like out in the middle of the ocean. I got like the ocean all around me. There's no life giving anything at anywhere around me, except I got a buoy to hang on to that we are all getting exactly what we need from every moment of our life, that everything is always working out for me. That was one of the pieces from the 2 pages that I wrote before the experience, and that phrase was not available to me while I was actually in the middle of it, though it did come back to me very quickly right after the experience was over, that again, everything is always working out for me. And losing my dog so that I could have this big emotional release is working out for me because of what's able to be downloaded into that space and what I'm able to go forward and do, and the exhilarating fun that I'm able to have with the new energy that's been downloaded into that space. Everything is always working out for us. And that can be a really soothing affirmation to hold on to. Um, but so can stay in my body, stay in my body, stay in my body. Please be on the porch. Please be on the porch. Please be on the porch. Exact results will vary, right? Like, it really depends on exactly what it is you're trying to soothe. And because of that, because of recognizing that this is such a vast topic, that we could have whole entire live streams about how to soothe fear versus how to soothe sadness versus how to soothe boredom, any kind of discomfort that comes up into our experience is one that we're meant to soothe, and that I can feel, hopefully, possibly, this isn't the last time we're going to talk about this. So if you have any questions, I would love to hear, like, what are your questions around self-soothing, or like any specifics that you would like to hear more about, just in case I do a future live stream. do um, just in case, I would love to be able to address your questions if you want to leave them in the comments for me. And if you have enjoyed this message, please leave me a like on the video. Consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. I do have something brand new coming this Sunday. I will be releasing the first reading on my new channel, Moon Mirror Tarot. It's a tarot and oracle readings channel where I am essentially channeling a spirit called Mother Moon that is bringing a message of unconditional love to anybody who is rendezvousing with those readings. So if you want to go ahead and subscribe to the channel, you can. It's already available. The first reading will be on there on Sunday, and then they'll be coming forth in the plentiful, plentiful, abundant harvest is what it feels like, as far as how much love she wants to share, how many different messages want to be shared through that channel, how much love she wants to ripple into the world. It is incredible to get to feel. And if you are called to step over there and check it out, I'd be honored. Um, the other thing I wanted to mention is the Sacred Circle, the live Zoom event that we have every month is coming up this Tuesday. So there's still time to join the Patreon, and that's where you'll gain access to the Zoom link to be able to join us for that live conversation. The Sacred Circle isn't anything fancy, it is an open space where we can come together and talk about whatever is on our hearts at the time. There's a lot of self soothing, a lot of group soothing that comes through there, even just resonating with other people going through very similar things to what you're going through. Oh my gosh, thank you so much, Jody. Oh, thank you. Love it. Test the super chat all you want. I appreciate that. Jody's who asked the question and prompted all of this. So thank you. I'm so glad you love it. But yes, so we'll be doing our, what will it be? Our 10th Sacred Circle on November 22nd. That starts at 10 a.m. Central Time. If you are interested, the Patreon is pay what feels good. That means, find that intersection between the value that you perceive coming from the space and what you can afford. What access of resources do you have available to? It goes as low as $1, and I don't believe there's an upper limit, and it's going to charge you every month. So whatever feels good, that's how much it costs to join us in the Sacred Circle space. And really, we're just open in that conversation to see what wants to come through, who feels called to share. It's different every time. And that is my favorite part. The Sacred Circle is easily one of the best highlights of my entire month. And I am so grateful to those of you who are here, who I know have joined us in that space many times. So thank you so much for your energy on this channel, in this space, this community. I am just overjoyed to be able to connect with you. And until next time, I do hope that you'll take really, really good care of yourselves. Connect with us further if you feel inspired to. And I will see you on the next one. Okay. Okay. Bye. Thanks, everybody. Take good care.